Hi parents, so welcome to your Monday tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be following up what we did last week. Last week we began the tigers on some pad work. So you've seen on the video how we were giving you a tutorial of how to teach them how to do some strikes, some hooks and some uppercuts. What we're going to do today is take it a step further. Every pad work has to be done with footwork. Then you can put the two together and then you can start seeing the relevance when it has to do with self-defense scenarios, training scenarios, drilling scenarios. You can start seeing the link in between every single one. So the first very simple pad work we're going to do with the tigers is how to step forward and how to step backwards doing the striking. So I'm going to show you from the front first. Normally with the tigers we say tigers into fight answer and they go into fighting stance. Left leg forward, left hand forward. And all you want to do is tell them to take one step forward. And then they can take one step back. Okay? It's as simple as that. I'm going to do it sideways for you. So they can be standing normally. And then you can say, tigers into fight answer! And they'll follow you, or they'll do it for you. Remember, their knees need to be slightly bent. Now from here, when I step forward, it's almost like a fencing step. I lean forward with my front leg and I slide the back leg. The same if I go the opposite way. So if I'm going to step backwards, I step and slide. So if you want them just to practice one, you can get them to start from the beginning of the room and just do 2 steps forward. 1, 2, and then step backwards. 1, 2. What we're focusing on just the stepping is good structure. So if I do it from the front, so I start from over here, I go to fight answer, and then I step 1, 2, 3, and you can see my body structure is fairly stable. You'll notice when the tigers do it, they'll step and their hands will go like this, and they will feel like they're balancing on the line. Hence why you notice when I was stepping, my feet were slightly wider. They don't need to be fixated on a single line step, okay? A double line step. Now, this is the beginning of this. I've done a tutorial on the stepping, I think 2-3 weeks ago actually, and the pad work we did last week. So we're going to combine them in this tutorial. How do we combine them? So we're going to do this forward step with striking. So they're going to fight answer, and then from here what's going to happen is when you say 1, they're going to step forward and deliver 1, 2, 3 solid punches into the pad. But then they have to step back too. So from the side, they go to fight answer. And when you say 1, they step forward and they deliver 1, 2, 3 good punches. Then they have to step backwards. Why? So imagine Bob, my friend over here, is the parent or someone holding the pad. So you're holding the focus pad or you're using your hand. As they step into range, they should be able to reach the target. As they step out of the range, they're in safety distance. So this individual can't reach out, grab them, punch and kick them. So we're teaching the students to actually get into the scenario, defend themselves, and how to get back out of the scenario so they can see what attack is coming next. So if I was to do the drill here, so I'll do it with my right leg forward because it's easier for you to see it this way. So if I say, everyone into fight answer! And then every time I count 1, they step in. 1! And if we have to count the punches for the children, do so. 2! 1, 2, 3, step back. And you can repeat this exercise. The good thing about this exercise is you can do it on your left and you can do it on your right side. So we get to train both. So, how about the hook and the uppercut? You can do exact same drill, but just change the way you hold the focus pad. So if I was holding the pad right now, I just need to have 1 pad forward. And so if I was to count a tiger, actually, if I come a bit closer, so I can have the focus pad up and the student comes in and they do their 3 punches. I can use my other hand to fix their guard and make sure they step back. So from the side view, I have this focus pad, I say 1, they step in, they do their punches, they step back. I make sure I can fix their guard, make sure they're in a good stance, test their structure, then we go to the next count, 2, and they can do the same thing. So when we do the hooks and uppercuts, all I have to do is give them a target. So if I put it in my right hand and I stick the pad to the side, or put it on this side, they're clearly going to punch into it, but you can say, let's just do 1. For now, the hooks and uppercuts, you can say, let's just stick to 1 strike. So when they step in, you can say 1, they step in, give a hook, and they step back. So it looks like this. They step in, hook, and they step back out. From the side view, they step in, hook, come back. Against Bob, they step in, hook, come back. Same with the uppercut. Hopefully from last week's tutorial, we were, I was very conscious about the safety of the uppercut. Make sure the kids don't rush it, because you see how the wrist bends? If they land it incorrectly, it can hurt. So do it slowly. Do not force on the tiger's hands and wrists because they're quite small. So you can start with your hands and make sure they just hit into your hand correctly. Make sure they don't do this, otherwise correct their shape. And then insist they step in and step out. This is primary footwork for your self-defense. Like for example, when the kids are defending hooks, they are learning to step into the defense so they can actually get a better chance of success than step back out. You know? So now we're going to include this into our pad work. Step in, 1, 2, 3, step back out. Or if it's the hook, step in, hook, step back out. Fix their technique. So parents, hopefully this has been like an addition to your pad work. We're going to now mix a drill that we did a couple of weeks ago, just footwork, and we're mixing now this pad work, putting the gloves on. Hopefully you've got some gloves or focus pads. If you don't have gloves or focus pad, just like last week's tutorial, you can use your hand. And if the children punching into your hand starts to sting, you can tell them to palm strike. Worst case scenario, you can grab a pillow, and everyone should have a pillow, hopefully. So grab a pillow, and when you're holding the pillow, they can punch into the pillow, so you don't need to worry about any pain. Plus they get something to strike. The only thing with the pillow is it's hard to kind of like fix their punch as they're doing it. With a focus pad, as they punch, one hand is free to fix their fist and tell them how it should land, how it shouldn't land as well, and their fingers shouldn't be out of place. Well parents, hopefully this pad work part 2 tutorial has been interesting. You've now learned how to do your striking. You've learned how to do your stepping. Now we're putting them both together. I know it's a nice simple step, but even though it looks simple, when the tigers actually do it, you will see like their stepping, their movement goes on. It's crucial that at the tigers stage, we're trying to teach them about coordination, structure, stability, focus, these core fundamentals, and it all comes in this drill. If they can just focus, keep their hands steady, if they can step steady, if they can hit steady, if they don't get pushed over, they learn to step back. So many success signs. When they do like a good 5 repetitions, please give them a high five. Tell them how good they're doing, because actually it's not an easy drill. Obviously for older children it's a little bit different. For tigers it's not as easy. So I would work on anything from 10 to 30 repetitions a day, minimum for tigers. And please note it down in your homework timetables. Tick it off when they do some training. That's perfect. Just a little bit of an explanation about your homework timetables. Now, when we tell you to print them off, you've got like, do your form 10 times, do 10 positions, do this. You don't need to do the whole form. All you need to do is, for example, one day maybe you decide, actually we're just going to focus on the first section of your form, and you tell them to do it 10 times, but they do it really well, fix their technique. I'm happy for that to be a tick. They don't need to do the whole tiger form 10 times. This is where people are getting a bit confused, where I've had a few queries like the positions. Parents are asking, do they need to do all the positions 10 times? You can say, hey, let's focus on one. Let's do fighting stance, but let's do 10 very good fighting stance positions. And that can be your Monday. Tuesday, you can work on self-defense. Or if they're really good, you can tell them to do all the positions 10 times each. The timetable is for you to use and for you to exploit the concept of training. You know, tell the children to train, get ticks, get rewards afterwards, and just add on the training. The more repetition they do, the better they're going to get. Well, thank you very much, parents, for this tutorial, watching through this tutorial. We're just going to finish the session now. For 1, 2, and 3, and hopefully I can see you tomorrow on the live lesson. Thank you.